I'm so glad everyone's here tonight. Thank you for coming. I'm Cherie Doyen. I'm a mindfulness coach. I love to watch people move out of their story and start creating action in their lives. There's nothing I love more. So tonight we're going to talk about prayer and kind of take a look at a new way to pray. Now, the Dalai Lama's been talking about prayer a lot lately, and he's kind of been struggling around its effectiveness. Because I think we've traditionally thought that we could just pray, and either we doubted that anything would happen at all, or we expected it to just show up without any action or movement on our part. So he says, serious actions are required for real changes. So, as we move into this, I kind of want to, untangle us from any confusion around semantics when we talk about God. When I use the word God, I'm talking, what some call the universe, the creator, I am, the maker. It doesn't matter. It's whatever words we choose to use for that energy that is me, that is you, that is you. Now, we've talked a lot about this, about what our words, how our words interact with matter to create, in Deepak Chopra, words become molecules. Words become molecules. One of the greatest manifestors ever, Jesus, word, I am word. Same difference, guys. Same difference. He understood that his words created change in matter. The clearer he was with his words, the faster the change came about. The more solid and direct the change was, more identifiable. So the words that are roaming around in our heads, one of the biggest ones we need to be aware of, worry. Worry is our strongest form of prayer. That was coined by one of my favorite writers, Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote in the 1920s, I think. And she was really powerful with the word. And so just think about that for a minute. Worry is our strongest form of prayer. It gets more airtime. We definitely have more clarity around it. We definitely enjoy talking about it. We talk about it with great passion. We'll lay it down at the knees of whoever or anyone that will choose to sit with us and listen. And when we're not talking about it, it's roaming around in here, right? So, here's a big one, guys. The only way we're tripped up, the only way that, quote, the other side gains traction is in our distraction. You see there? So when we're getting caught in these worry loops, or we getting caught in these doubt loops, or we're getting caught in these worth loops, we're distracted. We're distracted from the game. We're not playing. We're over here on the side making mud pies, like we're not playing the game. And doubt is a denial of that. Let me say that again. Doubt is a denial of that. Doubt is a denial that even exists, right? When we doubt and we let that worm its way into our alignment with our prayer, Poof. So, one of my favorite Jesus sayings, one drop of light into the dark has little or no effect. True tale, right? Little or no effect. While one drop of dark into the light makes it gray and murky instantly. So think about that for a moment. One drop of dark into the light makes it gray and murky instantly. That being said, one negative thought within seconds becomes a story. Soon as we put our attention on it, it starts growing. It starts sprouting, right? Pretty soon it's into a whole story, right? And then if we say it out loud, someone adds to it. And they add their story and their emotion in, right? And we take some of that to be our own. It fits. And then we let it ruminate in our head some more. And then we say it again, and it's kind of bigger, maybe exaggerated. We're beginning to touch that morphic field of like kind, that field of thought. Anyone who had ever been in your circumstance had thoughts around it. It's there, right? And pretty soon, full blown. We're full blown. It's just like if a weed, comes into your garden. If you don't address it, the next day you've got 5 weeds. You don't address them, pretty soon you've got a weed garden, right? That's how it works. And this is it, right, guys? The most important call we make, just think about that. You're calling God. The most important call you can make, and we ramble. We ramble, right? We have no idea what we've really said by the end. Because we talk ourselves into clarity, right? Right? We talk ourselves into clarity, right? It's those people, it's the more words we use, the less clear we are, right? You can tell in conversation. People many times are talking themselves into clarity. This big, long amount of words, right? And it goes around and around and around until by the end, they may walk away with some clarity, right? The person they're having the conversation with may have none, right? They may be absolutely confused, but, this person is walking away with some clarity. So that's the deal, guys. The universe loves clarity. The universe loves clarity. If you don't know, you're going to get whatever you put out there. So if you don't have enough clarity to give it to Google, you're not ready to give it to God. Right? Just think about that. Think about how much energy you put around having that conversation with your computer. Right? Have a lot of clarity around how we're going to formulate that question for Google to give you the outcome that you desire. Right? How much attention do you put into that space when you're trying to interact with the energy we call God? Ask and you shall receive. We've talked a lot the last few weeks about the universal laws, and the master of them was Jesus. He said them in the most succinct, concise way that they could possibly be said. And ask and you shall receive. If you don't know what you're asking for, you're not going to get it. You couldn't say it any more clear than that. If you don't know, no one else is going to know. So what do you want? You have to know first. You have to know first, guys. So if we're going to invoke the law of action, you just start walking. You just start walking. There's no right way. There's no wrong way, right? There's only experience. I think we get so caught up in making the wrong choice that we make no choice. Remove all contractions. The shoulds, woulds, and coulds, gone too, guys. The universe does not understand a contraction. So you have to understand that if you're saying you don't want something, if you knock out that contraction, what do you get? I want this, right? That's what we need to understand very clearly, you know. The Dalai Lama has had a lot of conversation lately about this prayer situation, you know, and he's finding it very inefficient as well. Like if, you know, the way we were taught to do it. I love this. If you really want something to happen, get in that law of vibration, activate it, sing it. Like, I love that, right? Like, if you create an affirmation, put it to a beat, right? And get in sync with that vibration. And I always pray like that. I always sing my prayers. I mean, it goes back to the Buddhist chanting, right? Like, so again, Jesus, right? We reap what we sow. And our thoughts and our words are the seeds, guys. They really are. When two or more gather under one unified thought, that's when magic happens. That's what happens in this room. When we come together and meditate with a particular direction, right? Now here's another piece, all right? Like, and Dalai Lama was talking about this too. When we decide to pray for others, it is an extraordinarily arrogant space to think you know what another needs. I don't ever pray for others in that way. Like, it's a very arrogant and narcissistic, holier than thou space. If you're going to pray for somebody, play blessings of grace in their rise, right? I offer you blessings in your rise to your greatness, right? To your highest and best. That's all you can give somebody, right? You can support them in their journey, but for you to start making declarations over what their journey should be, it's not really a fair space, right? Here's the Dalai Lama. If you want to change the world, first try to improve and bring about change within yourself. That will help change your family. From there, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Everything we do has some effect, some impact. Dalai Lama. That's what we've been talking about all along, Sally, with our freedom of choice, right? Right. And changing us changes everything, right? Changing us changes everything, guys. We can bend over backwards, jump up and down, reach outside of ourselves, and try to change our environment. But everything is here to play with you. Everything here is an aspect of you. Everything that shows up in your life, right, is an aspect of you. So when any conversation you're having with another, any disagreement you're having another, is mirroring back to you what is blaring on the inside somewhere. And that's really interesting, you know, when you think that we've always been taught to like point out and create this blame space and create, if you just did this, I would be a happy person. It's not true. The only thing we can do is change ourselves. So, how's that feel, guys? Does that feel like a different space to approach our prayer life from? You know, really, I guess the thing is what I have finally brushed up against is that versus this being an entity, a being out there that we're trying to have a conversation with, we need to understand this is an energy that we are interacting with. And there are certain laws about how you interact with it that we've been talking about for the past few weeks, right, through these universal laws. But to think that we're just sitting down, and I think, my age group back for sure, we have lived in that space where, it was kind of an old man in the sky. And I think we now realize that, he's not our father. He is us. We are that. So, that being said, you know, if you're calling like your daddy to whine and carry on and, you know, blah blah blah, nothing happens. Nothing happens. We have to have clarity, absolute clarity. We absolutely have to sit down in our meditations and we have to sort through everything that gets us tangled up, right? That's the purpose. Like we're, you know, as the Buddhists say, you know, they talk about detaching from emotion when in reality we're actually diffusing this old emotion so that we're walking into each present situation, looking through a lens without distortion, right? Distortion comes from our old struggles, our old unearthed unearthed knowings, actually,
Right.
you know, that are housed within that circumstance where we shut the door.